The Week 7 individual data contribution assignment from the perspective of team member 2. So start on the course home and launch the Excel keyboard shortcut. So we're going to be copying and pasting. We're going to be moving to the end of things with control arrow, end of sections. We're also going to be going home, control home. Usually that means A1. In this case, B2, because the A column is frozen and the B and the first row is frozen, and so it brings us to the first of the non-frozen cells, which is B2. And then moving around, arrow, and moving down 35 rows, page down. We're going to be autofilling down, Control D, and we're going to be autofilling to the right, Control R. We're going to be selecting a block of cells to autofill, that's Shift arrow. We're going to be moving back to tabs in the browser with Control Tab or Shift Control Tab to go to the previous tab. We're going to be moving from Excel to Chrome with Alt Tab. We're going to be widening columns to fit the text, Alt HOI, and we're going to be formatting cells in accounting format, no symbols, zero decimal places with Control 1. So Shift Control Tab, Assessments, Assignments. Go down to the Week 7 data contribution assignment, and we're going to be going into team member 2. Now what we're doing is we're working mostly independently right now to rough out our portion, which is the federal tax, for a family's lifetime financial plan. We'll later be fine-tuning these together as a team during class. So team member 2. So we're going to start by opening up the Week 7 XLSX file on our team folder. So I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to go into our team folder. I'm going to mouse over the Week 7 XLSX file, and I'm going to click the triple dot beside it and click it and choose Open, and I'm going to open in the application and open Excel. Now, team member 1 has already done their part, which is important because they have made a named cell. Where that is down here, inflation and growth. Notice how when I click on a cell like B79, it says that it's B79 on here. But look what happens when I click on the 2.50. It is named as inflation. And we're going to be using that word inflation as a named cell, which is always going to be $B, $80, in other words, a frozen cell, whenever we use that. Other people, we're not going to use it in our section, but other people are going to be using the next one. It's another named cell called RSP underscore growth. The people who do the RSPs. So if you haven't, if A1, if the first team member hasn't done this, this won't look that, it'll look weird. It'll still work, the instructions will still work, but you may want to wait till this one is done. Up to you. Okay, so Alt Tab to get back to Chrome and Shift Control Tab to get back to our instructions. And we're going to type the phrase Federal Tax 1. In fact, I'm just going to copy that phrase. Control C and then Alt Tab. And I'm going to put that in E1. I'm going to hit F2, Control V, Enter. And I'm going to widen that in a minute. And then Alt Tab, I'm going to get Federal Tax 2, Alt Tab, F2, Control V, Enter, and then Shift, I'm going to select both of them, Alt HOI to make it wide enough. All right, Alt Tab. Then I'm going to use Microsoft Copilot to figure out how to get the federal income tax. This asks us to use the Canadian federal income tax payable. It's a progressive tax. There's tax brackets, but those tax brackets are going to increase by inflation. Now, in real life, they don't always increase exactly by inflation. They increase whenever, to whatever extent and whenever the federal government decides to do it, but it's approximately increasing by inflation, and so we're going to do that to get our ballpark. It has other instructions like when we're going to be looking at the formula in C2, and it's important not to freeze that because we're going to be copying it over, autofilling to the right, looking at D2. What I mean by that is we're going to do tax 1 on income 1 and then tax 2 on income 2. It needs to autofill to the right. And just more about not doing that. And then the inputs, there's the year, there's the income, and inflation is a named cell. and we're going to use that name cell. Then we're going to take the 2024 brackets, the ones that I have at the time of filming this, and then we're going to increase it by inflation to the difference between the current year and the year 2024. And then these are the tax brackets, and it's progressive. That means that the first $57,375 is taxed at 14%. And then what is over that, so let's say I make $60,000, $60,375, then 3,000 of those dollars are taxed at 20.5, not the entire thing, just the 3,000 that is over and above that. But then if I make more than that, between this range, they're taxed at 20.5, and this range at 26. That's the progressive tax. And that's what this logic tells it to do. And then we're going to make sure we use an if statement, not a let statement, and a single Excel formula. Okay, so let's copy these instructions. Oops, make sure I got to get it. So Control C to copy, and then I'm going to open up this Microsoft Copilot and paste it. Wait for it to work. Still building. There, it's built. I can copy it up here, and then Alt-Tab, and I'm just going to go F2 to get into the cell and paste it and enter. So there's my federal tax. And by the way, Shift Control Tab, you can compare yours with my one. If you don't like the one you got, you can use my one. And here is an explanation of my one, how it arrives, what each part does, how it arrives. You can read that if you're curious. And then I'm going to format this with accounting, but no decimal places. So Control 1, Tab to get into category, go down to accounting, Tab, 0 decimal places, Tab, and then up to none, and then enter. And then I'm going to autofill it across, Control R. And then I'm going to autofill it down all the way to row 77. Control D. So for a lot of these are blank because those are retirement. Right now we don't have income and retirement, more on that later. But that's what the federal income tax is at this point. And we're done.